Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram. We are excited to be recording for this review of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that just dropped on Disney Plus. What an amazing experience. The first two episodes are already out, and I am already impressed by the quality that we saw in these first two episodes. It's a lot to break down, so be warned, there will be spoilers ahead, but Akram, what a journey the first two episodes are. We just watched it. Tell me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I love the direction they're going with Obi-Wan, and I think it makes sense too. A lot of things they put in there, and not going to spoiler territory just yet, but I like the new characters they introduced as well, and I like a little person that we've seen. Well, not a little person because that stands for midget, but like a child that we've seen. I like seeing more of them, and I was really happy to see that. I think it was like it made me feel kind of strange too because we never seen that type of interaction before between Obi-Wan and this character. But how did you feel about these two episodes thus far?
Well, I love the diversity that we saw because it felt like such a breath away from Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett series, where it was mainly on Tatooine. And of course, we returned to Tatooine for this series, but we also see different planets in the Star Wars universe, and it just feels like there's such like great variety of like locations that they did for this show, and I think the cinematography really holds up, and it feels like I was saying this when we were watching it. It feels like we never really left this character. It feels like it's obviously it's been a long time, in the films and of course in real life, because it's been how many years since Revenge of the Sith came out. But it feels like we never left Obi-Wan, and it feels like we're just jumping back into his life and seeing what you know trials and tribulations he's going through in this time period after Episode 3. But yeah, it was great seeing other characters as well. Obviously, we saw the Inquisitors in the trailer, and they are very prevalent in these first two episodes. We saw a little bit of Vader towards the end, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I want to open up with spoiler discussions, starting with the very first scene. Well, actually, before that, we do get like a little recap on the prequels, which I think was a nice
Oh yeah.
little throwback for all the prequel fans. And I'm so glad that the prequels are getting so much more appreciation now. I'm so glad that Hayden
Yes.
Christensen is now interacting with the fans again. But yeah, we open up episode one. I almost said the Phantom Menace. we open up episode one with Coruscant in the Jedi Temple, which I was actually surprised to see that we were gonna delve that far in. Tell me, what did you think about seeing like the Jedi Temple scene back?
I thought honestly it brought back so many memories because we did see in other shows, like for example The Mandalorian, the Jedi Temple, and I just love seeing like a Jedi again from like that pure
Several Jedi.
age. Yes. And I love seeing that again. And we got a little bit more of a glimpse too of uh their fighting prowess as well, which I really miss. I love prequel fighting. So I really enjoyed this one. And I don't know if they were foreshadowing like a character too of those younglings. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this. And we got a lot of like Jedi Temple stuff. We do get like a lot of coverage of Order 66 as well from the games, the shows and comic books. So I'm glad to see this interpretation of it. I was just hoping that Anakin will come in when they were trying
I
to
know.
escape through this grand doors.
Well, I
Uh,
was hoping we would see maybe Grogu because
you said that, yeah.
we saw Grogu what he went through in Mandalorian, how he escaped the Jedi Temple. So I was kind of
Yeah.
hoping maybe we'd see like how he escaped, but that's a different show, so I can get why they would, want to keep that separate. But that was
Hmm.
great, seeing like the fall of the Jedi Temple again and seeing the clones back in action one more time.
Yeah.
But then it cuts back to obviously Tatooine, and we see what the state of the galaxy is at this point. Like even Tatooine, which is so far out of the reach of the Empire, is still being affected. So the Inquisitors are on the hunt for a certain Jedi, and it's not actually Obi-Wan at first. It's a different Jedi hiding on Tatooine. I think his name was Nari or something. And so
Mm.
he's kind of like an escape Jedi. So we really see like the state of what the purge is like. Basically, the Jedi are pretty much trying to adapt into hiding. And I love how they showed this with Obi-Wan. It's like he's such a different character. Like from the prequels, he's not, the very, you know, pristine, like very like pompous, warrior that he is. He's very humble now. He's very in a state where like he has to, mingle with the commoners almost. He has to adapt and learn their ways in order to survive. He doesn't use his lightsaber at all. And there's several times where he has to use a blaster and hide his force abilities. What do you think about like seeing that?
Yeah, again, Ewan coming back. It's awesome to see him. It's I haven't seen him for a long time. So it was. I just loved the way how he kind of aged. It felt like the show, like they made it in the right time, especially with like the mania going on of Disney Plus shows as well. And it's been like for a long time in the works. So I'm glad to see that they're doing it justice so far. I like that he kind of has like a post traumatic stress thing going on too when he's sleeping, and he's trying to reach out to Qui Gon as well. I really thought that was kind of endearing because he's so alone, and he always has been alone, and he still will be, because in the comics he was always that hermit, but he did get into a lot of action later on in the comics too. He wasn't always just this guy just chilling. But I like that this is showing like, so because I think he mentions that it's like 10 years he hasn't spoken to like certain characters in 10 years. So I like how it shows that he's trying to be a normal person, and unfortunately being a normal person on that planet is like basically being dirt poor. And so I'm wondering if over time he's slowly realizing that, yeah, because there's a real revelation later on, where he keeps his lightsaber, which is completely different in the comics, because in the comics it was really sad. He always lights it up inside his little hut, like about every night just to reminisce. So I'm wondering if he's becoming more, I guess he want like, it's funny. I'm harkening back to the Queen song, "I Want to Break Free," because later on he actually uh, has his like hilt on him, and a lot of people will say it's kind of unrealistic, like how he has it on himself. But I think
Hmm.
he's a very proud person, especially from his history. So it's hard to see like these two sides try to fight each other. Like, I'm a proud Jedi, but at the same time too, I have to force myself into this harsh life now.
Yeah, and
Um,
if you think about it, he really came from like a place of privilege.
yeah,
Growing up with the Jedi, he was afforded like certain things that normal people on Coruscant or the galaxy couldn't have access to. So seeing him like like have like a part-time job like on the
I
side, like where
know.
he's like a butcher, and I thought that was cool. Like how they show like that giant space whale and they're just like
Yeah.
carving up that meat. Like he has to like find like a job on the side just to blend in. Even his little hut where he's got that little the little side hustle Jawa like
Yeah, well, I
scanning
was
and
like, damn, anybody could walk right in there. I'm glad he like hid away his lightsaber or
I
something.
know. But that was cool, like, seeing his life. So, yeah, and I mentioned this before in a other podcast. I was wondering, um, what his what status he would be like in this time. 10 years is a long time, to really, like, I guess, like, go over, like, your feelings and the stress that you went, especially he just came out of a war. I mean, not just
Mm.
with Anakin, but, he went through all that. He lost Sabine or Satine, I'm sorry. Keep getting those 2 mixed up. He lost Satine, on Mandalore. And then, of course, like, he's been separated from Master Yoda, who was like his only like guidance in the world. So he's very isolated. And like Ahsoka, obviously, who knows what she's up to at this time. So he's so alone at this time. And I really thought he would be able to handle all those feelings. But like you said, we see him having dreams about all the things that happen during the Clone Wars, and it's really like tearing him apart. Um, but we also see another character
Mm.
in, I think it was episode 2. Actually, before that, we should mention Uncle Owen.
Oh yes,
So Joel Edgerton returns as Anakin's stepbrother,
yes.
and he was so good in this. Actually, I really like, enjoyed his
He
seeing
was
his
so
character.
Owen here. Yeah, he was really
Yeah,
good.
and actually, Obi-Wan was the person who gave Luke his was it his Skyhopper toy?
Exactly. Yeah,
I
that
thought that was
was
a cool little
nice.
throwback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like it's like Obi-Wan's like the cool uncle that like gives you like Christmas gifts. Like
I know. I felt so bad for Obi-Wan too. It's just he's so like sweet. I just felt so
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
And then like well, I mean, if you like Luke is like really the only family that he has left,
And he
you
can't
know.
even like talk to him too, which
I
is like
know.
really sad. It's just it's such like an identity crisis plus like a sad thing that he's going through. It's really heartbreaking.
He's such a changed person, and then we
Yeah.
saw that with like the Jedi guy Nari, where he's trying to, he still has like these fascinations of what the old life was like with the
Mhm.
Republic. So he's like, "You gotta help me. Like we gotta, bring back we gotta fight." And then he's like, "No, the fight's over. We
Yeah.
lost." So that was such a heartbreaking scene because it really shows like how far he's gone. But yeah, so we get a scene with him and Owen, and Owen's like, "Yeah, we don't want you around. Like we talked about this. Like let me. I'm his uncle. I need to be the one to take care of him." And Luke and Obi-Wan's like, "Well, when the time comes, he needs to be trained, right?" Um, and then like he throws the line that he gave in the trailer, like, "Yeah, like you trained your father," and that hit hard. Like that was so
That did.
emotional.
Yeah, that really hit hard. It's like basically a spit on the face to Obi-Wan, especially at top of like trauma that he's facing and also just hiding his identity.
Hmm.
It speaks volumes on a lot of things. It's very relevant, I think, to our times as well. And I like that the fact that throughout all of this uh, this war happening around this time, and you kind of feel like this sense of like you're uncomfortable, like especially for him, like you don't feel at ease at all. And I think that that works fabulous with the tone as well. How it's kind of like a chase a little bit later on, at least in episode 2. Um, yeah, it's very scary.
Well, tell me, what did you think about so the next scene we see obviously is with the new Inquisitor,
Oh yeah,
Riva.
yeah,
I believe she's called Third Sister.
yeah,
That's what and seeing Grand Inquisitor back.
yeah.
Tell me, what did you think of the Inquisitors seeing them back?
I so like first time seeing live action Inquisitors. I'm like familiar with Inquisitors because of the comics with the Darth Vader main series in the beginning, and also obviously most notably the games from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Um, but there are quite a few Inquisitors, so like I'm kind of like confused about like some like where are they? Because some of them haven't died, so I wonder like why are they somewhere else? I don't know because they usually come in packs too, unless they're like in it's really weird. I don't know. I thought they were fine though. The guy from Fast and Furious, right? He was like one of them. I don't know which brother he is.
Third brother or fifth brother, I think.
Yeah. I mean I like Shiva, right? I like her. I think she's okay. She comes off like really hard edged, and I was shocked because what I like to do is like I like to analyze certain things of how they release certain content or like posters or whatever.
Hmm.
And like they're kind of like framing her to be this type of main character in the show, especially with the figures, the way how they release it. So I'm wondering if she's gonna have like a change of heart later on, especially with a kind of like sour past that she possibly had with Obi-Wan because she has this infatuation with him. I don't know why.
Hmm.
I don't. I want to hear your thoughts about that, and I also want to hear your thoughts about that big body ass head from Grand Inquisitor. Like what's up? I like the actor; he's not bad. I just don't like the redesign.
Well, going back to Riva, I really thought it was interesting that she has such an animosity with the other Inquisitors. You
Yeah.
would think that they would, learn to work as a team, but she is very rebellious in a way. Like she has her own kind of agenda, and I think it really attributes to like the doctrine of the Empire. It's like yeah, we're supposed to work as a team, but like if there's a chance for power, take it, right? Like if you have a chance to, and you can tell like she wants Vader's favor like really badly. That's why she's doing all this just to get Obi-Wan, because you can tell and she knows that Vader is Anakin Skywalker too, which I thought was really interesting because I didn't think that Vader would reveal his identity.
No. Yeah, that's weird.
So that was really interesting. So he must like I feel like Riva might be like Vader's like inside person or like maybe one of his agents
Yes.
within the Inquisitorius because he doesn't trust the Grand Inquisitor
No.
because the Grand
Exactly.
Inquisitor really is Palpatine's enforcer, right? So Palpatine and Vader always have like their own, I guess, like units of like spies and agents. So I really think Riva is like working for Vader directly. Um, But yeah, she was really interesting, like, you could tell, like, her methods are, like, way different from the Inquisitors, because like, they made the Inquisitors seem, like, so, like, lackluster in this sh like, they're pretty much, like, diet versions of what they were in the comics and Rebels and shit.
Yeah, I felt comfortable with them. Not even in the yeah, not even in the comics. Like they were worse in the comics. Here, it's like I felt really comfortable. Like I would have reported a theft to them. Like, look, that guy stole something. And like, thank you, sir.
Report them to, like, the authorities or some shit.
Yeah, it was weird.
But yeah, like, Riva, like, she does not hold back, like, she even, like, cut, like, a civilian's arm off in public, just, like, as, like, a show of force.
And they showed it too, which I'm glad to see.
Yeah, they did
Yeah,
not hold back on the violence in this show,
yeah.
which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, she's got, like, this conflict going on with the Grand Inquisitor, and I really wanted Jason Isaacs to play the Grand Inquisitor because he voices him in Rebels,
I know.
and I really wasn't a fan of how he looks in this show, like you said, like, big body head ass, like
It didn't make sense. I don't know why they went. I guess for a practical reason, but like it's Star Wars at the end of the day. Like, don't you see people walking the street that there's probably more makeup on extras than actually him? It was
'cause the
weird.
Utapauans look so good in Revenge of the Sith, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering why he looks, like, so, like, I don't know.
A lot of things happened to this character, like they did to this character, which didn't make sense that we'll talk about a
Mhm.
little bit later as well.
And I wasn't even a fan of, like, the way he talked, like, he was monologuing for the whole first 10 minutes of the episode. I was like, "Dude, just make your point already and just, like, find the Jedi."
It was weird, yeah, it was
Yeah.
off character a little.
But moving forward, so the Inquisitors leave Tatooine, and then Obi-Wan gets a, distress signal from an old friend,
Hmm.
uh, Bail Organa,
Yeah,
replayed, of course, by, Jimmy Smits. He played him also in Rogue One, so it was great seeing him back, and he's so aged now, so it's great to see him, like,
yeah,
he still looks good as the character. That's what I like that the prequel casts were so young, so that bringing them back, they look like they've aged a bit, like, in real
yeah.
life. So that was interesting, and then Alderaan looks beautiful, like, seeing
Oh, it's
Alderaan back.
wonderful. Yeah, it's a paradise.
Take
Yeah.
us to what we see next.
Oh, well, this part was I was really happy to see this character. So we apparently get this lead up to Princess Leia getting dressed, which I thought was really cute. And I think like her characterization here was like spot on too, because they lift up a hood from this alien, and it ends up being like this alien
I
little
thought it was
girl.
Chucky or some shit.
Yeah, it's like a jump scare. It's like, wow, like wow. It was such a
Little
like
Annabelle or something.
it was too cute though because like she's running off in the woods with her pet robot called Lola, and
Mhm,
she's kind of rebellious, and I like that characterization because we do see her in Rebels as well, and she's like that there. So, and I thought the actress that played her like did such a phenomenal job.
Vivian Lyra Blair, I think her name is.
Like the little mannerisms of dialogue I thought was wonderful, and we get to see some more interactions with the mother, and also Bale a little bit later, and I just like that whole like getting an insight. We don't really see that. I mean, in the comics we kind of see that, but it's always like Leia's like on her own adventure. Here it's like more so of like how she should act as a princess.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really nice to see. Like we seen so much of Luke, so now we kind of see more of like this young Leia, which I appreciate. And rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, of course. So yeah, that was. What did you think about her though?
She was so adorable, like
Yeah,
I mean, she kind of annoyed me, like, toward the end, but she was
I know,
very
me too.
cute in the beginning. Um, yeah, it's a nice contrast, between her and Luke. We see, like, 2 different side. I've mentioned this in our, our theory episode of Star Wars, like, what would happen if, like, Luke and Leia switch sides.
Yeah.
So we get it's cool that we get to see what they're like growing up, and Leia is she's such a curious child, and she's so rebellious even from birth, so it really, like, foreshadows what we see, in the future. But even, like, the way, she gives her name a droid, like, her droid a name,
Hmm.
like, she names it, like, Lola. Like, she doesn't name it like R4 or 3 something, right? She actually, gives it a name, so it's like she humanizes, like, droids in a way. So she has such an empathy, and she fights for droid rights too. There was, like, one scene where, like, she was fighting her cousin, um, so it really, like, shows that, like, she can stand up for herself, and we see that later, like, moving forward when she's fighting the Empire. So I think those traits are really, that actress, I feel like, really got the characterization of young Leia down really good. But then she gets, kidnapped by
Yeah.
these bounty hunters, and it's so funny because, like, she was so fast for no reason, and those Alderaan guards were, like, just walking like
Uh,
they're so slow.
no, no.
Where are those droid decals? Like, damn, I was like, I better call like the Philly police or some shit, cause
Seriously.
but yeah, so she does kidnap. She gets kidnapped by these bounty hunters, and it's a plot by Riva to draw out Obi-Wan. Um, but she even then she's like she's tough, like she like her little droid like almost like cuts her free and shit, and then Bale reaches out to Obi-Wan
Yeah.
asking him for help because he doesn't want this to be a public thing. Which is I don't know why he didn't just call Yoda because I feel like Yoda is like, what the fuck is he doing on Dagobah?
Well, I think Yoda like kind of destroyed, not destroyed, but really like it's really hard to contact him. Like he's on his own journey. Like he's like smoking all this weed and eating like fungus and stuff. Yoda is on his own journey, but like Obi-Wan at the end of the day, Obi-Wan was the one taking care of the first child, I guess.
Mhm.
And you were like mentioning something earlier when we were watching this together, like how come Bale just didn't send a ship for Obi-Wan or something like that as well.
Because he didn't want to be seen with well, he couldn't because remember at this time it's a very sensitive period
Hmm.
for the rebellion because it's not even the rebellion yet, right? It's just like these
Right.
little pocket rebellions. So Bale is funding obviously the rebel alliance behind the scenes. So seeing him with Obi-Wan could draw attention to him. So I feel like as little as possible, he didn't want to be involved. At the same time, like Leia was your responsibility. Should be your mess to clean up.
Yeah, how do you get your daughter kidnapped by the drummer from what's that band? That drummer, he's actually a drummer from like someplace, I forgot.
But yeah, I'm like, you have all the money and resources to like make sure this little girl is safe, and you couldn't even do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
so basically, he tells Obi-Wan, he pulls the guilt trip on him. He's like, well, this child is basically force sensitive too, so it kind of falls in your department to make sure she's all right. So Obi-Wan's like, oh, fuck. He's like the the what's her name? The meme where like she's getting the purse, and he's like,
Oh yeah.
the Viola
The
Davis
guy
meme where
looks, yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's like, all right, I'll do it. So this next scene was actually really interesting because he basically he buried his lightsabers in the sands of Tatooine, and I thought
Yeah.
that was such a great allegory for him burying his past in a way.
Hmm.
So he has to dig it up, and it's in a box with
Yeah.
Anakin's lightsaber,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
Which is really weird because that version of the lightsaber is not the one from episode 3. So I don't know, which is really weird. It's not something you have to explain, but the finish and like everything is like basically from a New Hope lightsaber. It's like I wish I was hoping they would show like how did that transform into that version.
There's been a lot of variations of Anakin's lightsaber, and even Obi-Wan's lightsaber too. So I don't think this is the final one that we're gonna see.
Well,
Um,
episode 5 eventually, or
right.
episode Return of the Jedi actually. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Well, fucking
New
sequel
Hope.
trilogy. There's so many versions, right?
Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
so then what happens next?
So then he actually captures Septa, or what appears to be a Star Wars version of Septa, and he and again harkening back to him bearing the lightsaber hilt on his waist, which I thought was like weird at first, but again I think he's just like a really proud like Jedi deep inside. Because you could have just done the Kanan Jarrus thing where like you could just hide it somehow. And he actually goes on a journey, and I think it's really interesting because I was thinking, how can you make a show about Obi-Wan and containing it all in like Tatooine? Like, would it be what we've seen in the comics, right? Pirates, gangs, whatever.
The
And I'm
Huts,
glad,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
I'm glad also we get to see that he's gonna have more interaction with Leia. And then again, when Leia and A New Hope says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Now it's like the pieces are kind of connecting together, even if like that's a little bit of a stretch because like she basically said that my father knew you instead of like I met you when I was a kid. But nevertheless, I thought that was great. And then we go to season 2 after that. So
You
walk
mean
us through it.
episode 2?
Or
Season
season
2.
2. Well, hopefully there will
I
be.
was like,
I'm
"Damn, what a jump."
optimistic. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, episode 2. So lead us through it.
So episode 2 kicks off, so he's, on this transport, on this planet called I think it's called Dayu,
Yeah.
and it's a really cool, like, almost like cyberpunky planet.
Yeah.
I thought it was Coruscant at first from the trailers, but it's actually, like, this it's almost like this little, like Tokyo City kinda vibe.
Yeah.
Um So he's tracking down, and it's so like funny. Like he feels like such like a detective, like the way in which he does things.
In Clone Wars, he actually was kind of like it. You remember that episode where he was like in disguise or something like that, and he was
Hmm.
kind of going through that. So like that kind of
Oh
reminds me of
right,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like he's almost like picking up his skills from Clone Wars
yeah,
and like using it to find Leia in a way. And
yeah.
it's hard because he can't use his force powers. He has to lay low. He can't use a lightsaber. So it's like almost like a Superman and Clark Kent identity thing. Like he has to, or like Batman and Bruce. Like he has to be Bruce Wayne, right? He can't be Batman in this situation, so he has to limit his abilities. But he's still skilled in a way, like in the way he fights. And like there
Oh
was
yeah,
one scene where like he dresses up as like a chemist in this like almost like the Breaking Bad
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
meth chamber, whatever.
Tuco was there. Tuco's
Right?
like, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he like causes a distraction, and then he tries to free Leia, and then the bounty hunters like catch up with them, and they put out a call to Riva. So Riva and the Inquisitors show up, and then we get like more conflict between them. So they're really like, it's funny like that they're so like they almost the Inquisitors almost feel like they're too nice in this series.
It's strange. I don't know. I think they're trying to because there's some like thing that Anakin wants to do with Obi-Wan, like probably like really mess him up or something. So I guess like he told Grand Inquisitor something about that, but it's like Riva's like too hype to like catch this guy. I don't know
Hmm.
what's going on with Riva. I really am interested to know like who is she to Obi-Wan. Um I'm really interested to find out
I don't even
actually.
think it's I don't even think it's between her and Obi Wan. I think just Anakin and her
No,
might.
but they mentioned this infatuation with Obi-Wan. Grand Inquisitor was saying like, "Why do you keep want to look for you let him go last time or something like that?" Like I really think it's to
It could
please him.
be it
Yeah.
could be like a Star Killer thing where like maybe Vader found her at birth and trained her to be like his own secret agent to find Obi Wan.
Or
That's my
brainwash her
theory.
to think Obi-Wan's like the most piece of shit
Right.
person in the galaxy, like probably something
Hmm.
like that. Like he groomed her to like think this way. Yeah, that's
That
true.
could be interesting. Yeah, because she
Yeah.
says a lot too. To she's like, yeah, the Jedi wouldn't do this shit for you. Like
Right.
they basically like betrayed you and shit. So she's very indoctrinated
Yeah.
into this evil ideology.
Right. And she's harsh just like Vader is like in the comics like when you first see him as well. Like I feel like she's picking up a lot from him as well.
Yeah, because she's going outside the chain of command
Yeah.
almost,
She thinks
which is
she's
like
her
very
own boss.
Vader-esque.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It makes sense.
So then what happened? So oh, and then we actually got the actor from I forgot his name
Eternals.
from Eternals.
Kumaj Malani, something like that.
Yeah. So he's playing like a he's pretty basically playing fraud, like he's pretending to be a Jedi and like scamming people, which I thought was interesting because it's like
Yeah.
there's so many perspectives on what the galaxy remembers. It's like kind of like Whisper Down the Lane. It's like
Mm,
what they perceive as like a Jedi, because the Jedi are basically like myths at this point. Like the Empire has basically propaganded them like out of existence.
right.
Um, so yeah, this character, I think his name, I forgot his name.
The character from well, anyway, he is, he's basically scamming people. Um Yeah, I found that really interesting too. I just like the whole. It kind of reminds me of like, what's funny is like they keep mentioning back then in the old movies that like it's basically space magic or whatever, and I like that his setup is kind of like those movies where like they're trying to fake those like gypsy people that's trying to do magic as
Yeah,
well. So that's how the Jedi kind of seems to like outsiders. So I found that really
and
interesting.
even Obi-Wan says it's like it's nothing but magnets. Like
Right.
it's like smoke and mirrors, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought that was a really
But
fun scene.
yeah, we got a great scene where Obi-Wan, he feels like such a different person from the Clone Wars in this scene, because he basically like he pulls out a blaster on this guy, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna tell me where to find this girl." Because that it's so funny because like seeing like him in Revenge of the Sith when he throws Grievous's gun, he's like so
So
uncivilized, and then he's so
uncivilized.
changed now.
Caecilius, hypocrites.
Or like
W
Wanda
well,
hypocrite.
you can't forget something as well, which I thought was amazing. they had my boy Tamor Morrison back as a
Oh my god,
clone.
I forgot.
Yeah, as a clone sitting like homeless, basically, which is they're basically obsolete now, most of the clones, and it's interesting to see this particular clone. I think from the 501st, nonetheless, as well.
He had blue armor on,
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah,
501st.
seeing Tamora back, of course, like, makes sense because he came back for Boba Fett,
But
so it
like
makes
actually
sense.
live action though was like
Right.
wild. Like, oh, I mean, we did see him in Attack of the Clones, but still, like this is
Mhm.
awesome.
And I thought that was such a great, like, metaphor for, like, when you see, like, homeless veterans, like, on the
Yeah.
street, and they're kinda just there, like, they basically, like, they're one and done, they've just been used for their purpose, and now they're just nothing now, basically, they're just on the street, right?
Oh
They're,
yeah,
like,
because you
memories of,
guys killed so many little
right?
kids. I guess I don't know. That's another metaphor or something. Just these
I
yeah.
honestly thought we were gonna see more Purge Troopers in this episode because they work side by side with the Inquisitors.
Maybe soon. I don't doubt soon. I mean, again, that was in the comics as well, even before the game where they became more like, popular. I think
Mhm.
soon, hopefully. I think we'll see more.
Yeah. But then Obi-Wan does rescue Leia,
Yeah.
and then they have, like, a cool little chit chat. She's so, like such a smartass.
I know. And first of all, that was such an iconic scene. I think will be remembered for a long time because that's the first time we ever really see them meet,
Mhm,
especially in this stage of both their lives. I thought that was really beautiful to see. Because we always see interactions with Luke anyway. So
mhm.
um yeah.
But what do you think of, like, seeing her character, like, how she talks with, like, Obi-Wan? Because she's such a smartass, and she's just like, "Oh, you're not really a Jedi, right?"
You know, I got to thinking that is this gonna be like another show where like it's that trope that we were speaking about before, where like some like grown like some guy that has like all this experience like tries to help this young person out, kind of like Logan or whatever, and kind of like the Mandalorian. I'm not opposed to actually her sticking around because I actually enjoy their dynamic, and I find it
Mhm,
really nice that she's actually really smart as well for a 10-year-old.
mhm.
I want to see more of her, to be honest with you. I'm really interested.
Yeah, he even says, like, Are you really 10 years old? Because you're
Yeah,
pretty smart for a 10-year-old."
right.
And she calls him, like, his grandpa, or, like she keeps making, like, all these old jokes to him
She
because
made me
he's
feel old. 'Cause I was like, I grew up with this man.
I know.
Like, Sis and I are about to fight. Like,
We're so old.
right.
Yeah, I love their dynamic, like, and then, like, and then this one scene kinda made me think of, Spider-Man, No Way Home, when, like, she falls off the cliff,
Oh,
and she was
yeah.
running pretty fast, too. She was, like, doing parkour and
I
shit.
thought she was going to make it. I thought that, like, oh, now you kind of got it in
Yeah,
you.
maybe I felt like she was gonna unlock her force powers, like, in that one moment.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she jumps off the building and then, like, the force, like, brings her over to the other side, but he actually catches her with the force. That's such, like, a meme where, like, you see Andrew Garfield, like,
I know.
dive down
Andrew
into
Garfield just goes down. He's like, well, mind you, isn't that interesting to see? So he hasn't used the Force in so long that it kind of looks like it's like he's rusty with it. It kind of hurts as well. I like seeing
Mhm.
that visualization of that.
I mean, also, he was getting beat up a lot in that episode,
Well,
'cause
yeah, but he fought really well too. He learned Tai Chi in a Jedi
right.
temple. It was really cool to see.
Or, like,
Yeah,
he was taking, like, tai chi classes, like, during the purge,
he was
just
doing capoeira, so he takes off his slippers and starts like
he
doing
was
this
learning the
dance.
kumite.
Right. I love that scene though. I love third sister, right? Like her little parkour stuff, which is like very floaty. Like, I
She
thought it
was
was like,
doing, like, some, like, saber tooth from X-Men, like
what was that? Well, yeah, I know. What was that movie with Jet Li? The whatever, like that type of fighting where like they're so floaty. She was like so
Oh,
like
yeah, Crouching Tiger, or,
yeah, she was so that. Honestly, she was so that. I mean, it was really cool to see. Like I don't know. I never seen parkour at this level. She's better than Black Panther.
you just see, like, Beast from X-Men, just
Like yeah, everybody goes after. It's like Avengers Endgame for Obi-Wan.
right. But yeah, so then basically that thief guy helps them, and he's like, "People wanna help you 'cause, you're." I think he has good memories of the Jedi. I think there's a lot of people in the galaxy that didn't feel like the Jedi were, like, war criminals as the Empire,
Mhm.
propagates them to be. So he's like, "Here, there's a transport, you guys can get off, because basically the Inquisitors are onto Obi-Wan now, and then Riva puts out, like, a thing, like, to all the bounty hunters,
Yeah.
um, so basically everybody knows, like, Obi-Wan's still alive, basically.
Yeah.
So, then Obi and Leia are getting ready to leave, and then Riva tracks him down, And actually before that, they had, like, a nice little conversation where,
Oh,
like,
yes.
Obi-Wan thought Leia was like he's like, "You remind me of somebody," and she's like, "A Jedi?" He's like, "No, but she was a leader," so he's talking about, like, Satine, like, all those years ago.
Satine? I thought she was talking about Padme. I thought he was talking about Padme because
I
he
thought she was
knows.
talking about Satine.
No, I don't think so. That's for sure 100% Padme.
It
Why
could be
would
up
sh
for
Yeah, because
interpretation.
he might as well be talking. You remind me of somebody. His name was Jar Jar. Why would why would he it's Padme because anyway,
Well,
that's
look,
Padme's
Star
daughter.
Wars is full of strong women, okay? There could be a number of people.
Yeah, but for sure that's Padme. Like, you guys let us know in the comments you made it this far, which thank you very much if you have. Let us know who you think he was talking about. But I are you team Akram? You should be. So
Team Dylan every day. They know the real ones. Come to the dark side.
cap.
Literally.
Like,
Um, and then Riva, spills the tea, and I think this was I wanna know your thoughts on this
oh
because
yeah.
you could see the reaction in his face when he finally gets the name drop. Riva reveals that Anakin's alive. What did you think about seeing, like, that scene?
I love that scene. I love that realization, because the nightmare isn't over, right? And it will never be for him. And I thought just that realization of, like, your fallen brother is actually alive. He's not out of his misery. It makes you feel more like shit, because he had to feel like super bad Anakin burning alive that way. Which also makes me think like he's probably thinking I should have did something to put him out of his misery, like kill him right then and there. So this whole thing now, I'm sure it's going to ramp up to like a scale where like it's gonna feel so energetic to when these two will meet eventually. It's just gonna like have everyone's mouth, the jaw is gonna drop because we've been also waiting for this for a long time. This rematch. What did you think about that moment?
Well, it was such a conflict of emotions, like you said, because it's like he feels relieved that Anakin didn't die, but also guilty that he didn't kill him because now Anakin's probably worse because he survived because now he harbors this hate for Obi-Wan, and now he's basically like who knows, like he's probably thinking in his head like how many Jedi has Anakin killed in 10
Mm,
years, right? Like how much destruction has he caused as Darth Vader. So yeah, it was such a great scene, like seeing his face because then Leia's like, "What's wrong?" And then he's alive, like Anakin's alive. Um, so yeah, like they're definitely building up to this re-confrontation that we're gonna see. So tell me, what are your predictions for the next episode?
Well, first of all, at the end of this episode, we also do see Vader or Anakin in that
Oh
back to
yes,
tank, which was wonderful to see him in that infamous breathing. I think, well, I for sure think that next episode, I think this will kind of be like Mandalorian. Like, I think this is basically a chase type of show. The Mandalorian was more about like getting from point A to point B to discover this, and it kind of felt like an RPG. I think this is just like a chase, and I feel like he didn't activate his lightsaber yet because they're trying to build up to this grand moment where like after all these years he's finally going to reignite it. And I think there's a the lightsabers are very symbolic as well, so I think you have to kind of it has to be a reward for like fans. If you stick around you'll finally see him activated, and it's heavy. It's like a heavy
hmm
it's like poetry, honestly. It rhymes, but yeah, I think next episode, I doubt it's gonna be something super revealing. I think it's just going to be like another cute, like little quest that they're gonna go on, like to escape the Inquisitors. And I think eventually it's gonna all come to a head where they can't do their job, and then Darth Vader comes in. And I hope there's like a lengthy dialogue. I wouldn't mind to have like a 50-minute like episode where like they just sit down and they're just talking, like. Or like that chicken scene in Game of Thrones where like the Hound and Arya is like there and it's like and then all of a sudden they start fighting. I mean, but what I'm going on a tangent anyway because I'm so excited about this. But what do you think
Well,
will
now I
happen
kind of
next
want to see that
episode?
scene where like he's sitting with Leia and he's like, "I'm gonna eat all the fucking womp rats in
Bro,
here."
they couldn't do it. They honestly could do it. Like the Inquisitors, like just there, like watching. They
And wouldn't it
can.
be wouldn't it be interesting, like, if Obi-Wan, like, sprinkles some, like, Jedi ideology into Leia? Like, how to use
Oh,
her powers and stuff? Because I
that
know
would
I know
be.
she grows up to be, like, the Senator and Luke grows up to be the Jedi, but it could be cool, like, she could learn little things from Obi-Wan, you know?
Dylan, I think the most biggest question I have to ask you is how is it that a Grand Inquisitor has been stabbed by Riva? How does that
That was
make
so stupid.
sense? That doesn't make sense. That was like such a I don't understand it. I don't know if that's really him anymore.
That shocked me the most out of this episode 'cause
Yeah.
I remember watching Rebels, he did die in Rebels.
Yeah.
So that's either his twin brother, which would be really stupid.
That'll be such like a stupid thing to do.
Or maybe it's like a No Way Home thing where, like, Green Goblin stabbed Peter, but he's not really dead.
I was stabbed before.
I was
Well,
stabbed before.
it could be he's probably gonna. I don't know about this in the comics, but unless he has
Or
like
he
some.
turns into Fennec and he has, like, the the
Yeah,
robot
no, that would be so dumb too. It's like the same like thing. They get that guy. What's his name? The rapper guy.
cyber guy.
Yeah. I don't know. That didn't make sense to me at all. I don't know why they did that. And there's such a huge history behind Grand Inquisitor as well, especially the new Star Wars comics. Especially that he was like a temple guard,
Mhm.
which I like to see more of, like maybe flashbacks. But that was really out there. I didn't understand. For regular people, I think that they wouldn't mind seeing him, like that don't know about the Grand Inquisitor. Like they're like, okay, yeah, so
Mhm.
she's the boss now. I didn't understand this though.
Yeah, 'cause she coulda just, like, force pushed him or, like, cut his hand off or some shit,
He
like
could have done a lot of things besides killing
yeah.
him. Because I thought maybe he was gonna be like, and
Because
he's
then
like
it's like
there.
she's kind of like a traitor now, and then she's probably gonna be wanted by the Empire too,
I don't
unless she
know.
has Vader's blessing.
Yeah, it still doesn't make sense. Because I thought maybe he was gonna be like really hurt, but then all of a sudden his eyes are open like this, like, oh yeah, he's
Mhm.
dead. I don't know. It's supposed to set up something. I don't know.
He pulls like a Halsey from Halo, like that was
Oh
that wasn't the
no, the
real that was
clone.
a clone.
You have what's her name, Miranda, like
You
randomly
see
come into the scene and like that's not
like his nose starts bleeding, he starts having seizure.
right. But like he's like there, but he looks at like her.
He's stupid.
I don't know what to tell you. But what do you think? What else? What else? What are your hopes for like this season?
Honestly, I'm just here for the ride. I don't really have any expectations. I'm glad to see Ewan and Hayden back,
Yeah.
and I just want to see a really good story. You know, bringing them back, you kind of have to make sure that you do these characters justice because they're very beloved characters, not just in the movies but the TV shows as well. So they've grown such a community over the years. Um, I kind of hope that we see a little bit more flashbacks of like the Clone Wars,
Oh
maybe even
yeah,
like a scene with Ahsoka. I would love to see that.
that would be great.
And just I wonder if they're gonna show like Hayden's face like without the mask. That'd be really interesting to see. Like maybe we see like clips of him where he's talking to Palpatine without his mask or something, or maybe like in his most private moments. Like what is Anakin thinking, right? Like is he still burned up about Obi-Wan? Is he still thinking about Padme? Is he what's going through his mind? That's what I really want to see. But I can't wait till the next episode. I think next episode we're probably gonna see like that what was that base where the Inquisitors were in the
Oh
water.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
we're gonna see that next episode, and I feel like we're gonna see more Vader going forward. But I'm really pumped. I think these two episodes were really strong. But tell me what you think, and how would you rate this first two episodes?
Oh, for sure. I mean, possibly we will see Vader like dealing with Riva, especially after she killed the Grand Inquisitor, apparently. And I think that we deserve to see Hayden perform as Vader a little bit more. It's been such a long time, and he's been off socials for a very long time. So I hope that they have him without the mask in some form. I don't know how that will really function with him because he needs it to breathe. But I just want to see like some internal conflicts within Hayden as well. Like I mean, we see a lot of Leia. We see obviously Obi-Wan, but I want to see more of Hayden. I really missed him,
Hmm.
especially. So that being said, I would probably rate this so far, episode one and episode two, unbiasedly, probably like a great 9.5 out of 10, or around that. Um, how would you rate it?
Yeah, I would say 8 or 9. I want to see how the rest of this series plays out. But I think it's off to a great start. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching these two episodes because I really did. Um, I don't know, and they came out really early too. They came out at like 12. I was surprised
It
because I
was the
thought they
weirdest
were,
thing, yeah.
yeah, I thought they were gonna come out at like 3 o'clock, but I don't know. I guess they're gonna do it maybe like 4 o'clock
For sure,
on
yeah,
third or on Fridays moving forward.
yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed reviewing this series so far. I can't wait to do the rest of these episodes. So thank you guys for sticking around to listen to our nerdy asses divulge into Star Wars again. But yeah, definitely follow us, give us a follow, share if you like this episode. We'll be covering each episode as they come out every week. And you can check our socials on Instagram. You can also check us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can watch our videos on Spotify also now. And we have a lot more great content on the way for you guys. So definitely stick around. So may the force be with you guys. And thank you for having lunch with us.
May the force be with you. See you guys.